Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. This week, Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer joins me to unpack Anglo's low-carbon fertiliser contribution, BlackRock's move to address climate change, and potential job cuts in ferrochrome. Welcome, Martin.
Hi, Sashni.
Now, if Anglo-American's bid for Sirius Minerals is successful, it could market a low-carbon product.
Yes, now, the fertilizer industry is dominated by muriate of potash, they call it MOP, and sulfur of potash, SOP. So you've got MOP and SOP, but coming in now has a different name, polyhalite, and this is being introduced by Sirius. And Sirius in the UK could be taken over now by Anglo-American, our company that we know so well here, which is wanting to get active in the fertilizer space in North Yorkshire in the United Kingdom, where Sirius operates, and coming in with what they call Poly 4. It's a multi-nutrient product which hasn't really made big headway into that industry, and it will be probably the product that comes in at the lowest price, because we see SOP, which is the sulfur of potash, that's still at about $500 a ton, and we've got the MOP, which is the muriated potash. That price has fallen quite substantially, but it's still around about $275 per ton, and they're looking at a basket price for the polyhalite because it's multi-nutrient, and if you add all the nutrients together, it'll probably come in at about $200 a ton, which will put it on the lowest end of the sort of price rung, but also very low on the cost rung. And this is one of the things they were bringing out, that it's about possibly $40 to $50 a ton cost. And most of the time when you're working in this industry, they talk about $100 a ton at the cost, and that's regarded as good. So it seems as though they're in an interesting space in the fertilizer with a new product. But what I was so pleased they emphasized about this product is its greenness, because in processing this product, you don't require as much energy. It's a very simple process, and you get it onto the ship quickly without using furnaces or chemical processes like you do, particularly with SOP, the sulfate of potash. It's really an intensive Mannheim system that they use. They use a lot of energy. So that probably emits something like 93% more carbon dioxide. And I think the MOP about 83% more carbon dioxide than this polyhalite, which I think will be an important selling point in this market in the world at the moment, where everybody's making sure that you've got to decarbonize, and perhaps that will be the very big selling point for what is a fairly new product that has to go in and increase crop yield at a time when there's less and less arable farming land. And this is the sort of thing that needs to be done to make sure the world has food security.
And tell us about BlackRock's plan to cut its exposure to thermal coal in an effort to address climate change.
BlackRock has got massive investments. We're talking trillions of dollars here. I think if you had to put it into rands, it would be they work on people's savings of about 100 trillion rand. I mean, it's massive, the sort of investment potential that they have got. And the founder has now come out and said, we've got to take climate change extremely seriously. When we invest, we've got to invest in a way that really takes into consideration those three big letters now, ESG. And the E is environment. And the environment side of it is sort of really haunting everyone, because they're also looking at what it could do, say climate change. What could it do to food prices? If you're having this change of climate and it's not suiting what you're growing, could you have this massive inflation? Could we really, as a globe, have serious food insecurity? So they're saying the consequences are just too great. We've got to decarbonize, and he's putting out to his team that when you go into an investment, you must see that it's in a green area. You cannot keep on going into new coal products and that. At the same time, it is locked into certain industries that have said, we're going to limit our coal we will not sell more coal than a certain figure, and we're coming down with that, and we committed to coming down. So they haven't actually taken all the investment away, because we also need to turn the lights on. And so you've got to walk on both sides of the road as you go towards a climate friendly and positive investment. But you can't just do it like overnight. But the message is out. We won't invest in anything that is not green.
And tell us about the reasons behind South African ferrochrome companies warning of more than 1,200 job losses.
This breaks my heart, because if you go back to 2011, I'm showing you a document here. This was presented to the government, and it said, look, we are an incredible industry. You want to promote beneficiation. There's nothing that promotes beneficiation like ferrochrome production, because it turns the chrome into a 5 times more valuable ferrochrome, and we export that, and 100% of our good metallurgical chrome goes into this industry. It employs, at that stage it was providing like 200,000 jobs, and it was contributing in 2011 42 billion to GDP. It was a massive contributor. They just pleaded with the government at that point, we just need a little bit of help, because the electricity rates are going up, and because of that we're unable to compete. And China is, instead of taking our ferrochrome, they're taking our chrome. Now, when they take our chrome, they're taking our jobs. They're taking our foreign exchange. So this is hurting the South African people. Please, just give us a little bit of a shield so we can readjust, bring in more lower cost electricity, and start competing. It fell on deaf ears. Now this is when I think that the unions should also say, look, government, these guys are giving you something that is true and factual, and if we don't change this, we're going to lose a fantastic industry. Well, as we can see now, 10 years later, we're losing it. We're losing this industry, and to blame is largely Eskom. Those electricity prices just weren't controlled for these guys. They're also not allowed to produce their own electricity. So what do? You're relying on a state-owned enterprise which is rigid and which won't stop pushing up those tariffs. So those people who let Eskom go down the drain like that and cause such a problem, they have hurt the South African people. They have hurt youngsters at school now. They have hurt us all. And in some cases we see that they are selfish beyond belief. They seem to have concentrated on building their own wealth, a lot of them. And so it is horrific that we see, we are now going into a situation where we're going to lose so much foreign exchange, we're going to lose so much beneficiation. And it's so easy for the government to preach beneficiation, but how do you add value if they don't give you the ingredients? And I think the unions in future must really come in strongly to give credibility to business, which the government doesn't seem to want to accept as saying something genuine. This document has proved that what they were saying. If we had climbed in then, in 2011, we would have saved this situation. But you've got to at least see people in business as credible, but they don't see the credibility of business. They don't believe what they're saying. And then the unions should make sure that they reinforce that message, because they can see what's going on. And the government, I think, will really have to sit up there, because what these people said was absolutely true. And at that time, you saw their competitor, India, get immediate assistance from the government. Immediate! The government, when they pleaded for the same sort of thing, they got immediate assistance. And we still haven't got assistance in South Africa, because nobody trusts business. They've got to trust business, and the unions can play a role in making sure that they help government to trust business, because they're right there at the rock face. They can see the deterioration, and they know that jobs are going to be lost, but they don't say anything, and they are hurting the South African people.
Thanks for speaking this morning.
It's a great pleasure, Sashni.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on the local and global mining industries. And don't forget to listen to the audio version of our Mining Weekly daily email newsletter.